Miss Jane at the North Castle Public Library for this week's Science Lab. Today we're going back out in nature and observing all the beauty of it around us. Today we're focusing on rocks. Just the rocks you find underneath your feet as you're in your backyard or out taking a walk. We're going to read this book and then I'm going to show you something fun to make with rocks. So this book is entitled If You Find a Rock. It's written by Peggy Christian and photographs are by Barbara Hirsch Lember. This book was published by Harcourt, Inc. If you find a rock, a nice flat rounded rock that sits just right in the crook of your finger, then you have a skipping rock. You toss it out in the water just so and see it trip across the surface, making a chain of spreading rings. That is a really fun thing to do. Maybe you find a soft white rock, a rock that feels dusty in your fingers. Then you found a chalk rock and you use it to make pictures on the pavement. Or you might find a big mossy rock by the side of a long, steep trail. Then you have a resting rock. And as you sit down, you feel the cool moss squish beneath you. Then again, you might find a rock with a stripe running all the way around it. Trace the line with your finger. It must circle all the way. You have a wishing rock, and you whisper what you want before you throw it. If you find a rock, a big rock, by the edge of the water, then you have found a splashing rock. When it hits the surface, the water jumps out of the way, raining back down on your outstretched hands. The bigger the rock, the wetter you get. Maybe you will find a pile of small rounded pebbles. Then you have found sifting rocks, and you can scoop up a handful and let them slide slowly through your fingers. Or you might find a rock whose water-smooth surface catches your eye. If it feels easy in your hand when you rub it, then you have found a worry rock. You rub it between your fingers and your troubles are smoothed away. Then again, you might find a rock sitting in a grassy field. Push it over. You have found a hiding rock, and in the cool, dark underside live all kinds of things that creep and crawl and hide out of sight. If you find a rock, a great rock, that towers over you, then you have found a climbing rock. Hold on with your toes and fingers, grip hard as you stretch up, and pull until you reach the top, where you feel much grander than you did on the ground. Oh boy, cool. Maybe you will find a twisting line of rocks sticking out of a creek. Then you have found crossing rocks, which wait to meet your feet as you pass over the water, rushing away all around you. I've done that. It's great fun. Or you might find a rock with a print of something else, a leaf or a shell. Then you have found a fossil rock, and you feel the shape of something that lived long, long ago when the rock was young. That would be special. Then again, you could find a small rounded rock right in front of your toe as you go down the sidewalk. You have found a walking rock, and you kick it ahead of you and let it lead you home. I've done that many times. If you find a rock that's not a skipping rock or a chalk rock or a resting rock, a wishing rock, it's not a splashing rock or a sifting rock or a worry rock or a hiding rock, it's not a climbing rock or a crossing rock or a fossil rock or a walking rock, but you like it anyway because it reminds you of a place or a feeling or someone important, then you have found a memory rock. And sometimes those are the best rocks of all. If you find a rock. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something fun to do with a rock. a flat, smooth, oval rock. We're gonna make a little Good Luck Ladybug Pet Rock. So, to make that Ladybug Rock, I'm going to use my nice flat rock, and with a brush, I'm gonna paint it all red. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna go back and paint a semicircular black end to it. Gonna let that dry. After that's dry, I'm gonna go back to my black paint and use a Q-tip, put a little paint on there, and make a line down my ladybug. And it may be perfect, it may not, and that's okay. After I make my line, I'm gonna decide, think about how many black spots I want my ladybug to have, and put them on there. Just gently touch, and you don't want too much paint on your Q-tip. It might take a little extra work to make your spots round. Try to have a nice light hand and do it slowly and gently, making this one a little rounder, and that's just fine with me. Okay, after I've done that, I'm going to take my little googly eyes here and a little Elmer's glue. I'm going to put a nice generous dollop of glue and my eyes onto the glue. Give it a little press, and I'm gonna let the whole, arrange those eyes, let the whole thing dry. I'm gonna leave it alone for a while. And then you have found a rock and you have made a fun little pet from it.